Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth week of the Gym Owner Success Network Fitness Business Bootcamp. Can you believe that we're already at the second half of this 6 week series? But before I begin today, I'd just like to take a moment to pause and thank each and every one of you for all of your contributions so far. Whether it's been the posts in the Facebook group, the follow up messages that you've sent me, I really feel as though this boot camp has allowed us to be able to connect with each other, but also for each of you at your gym or studio from around the globe to really be able to chat with other like minded peers and individuals. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for making this such an incredible experience. But don't you worry, we're not quite done yet. I like to think that over the past few weeks, whether it was the Q&A last week or our prior 2 weeks before, that you're really starting to put all of these pieces together in order to really elevate your game at your gym or at your studio. In week one, we talked about an innovative approach to member onboarding. The keys there were one, making sure that you really knock it out of the park with customer service and customer experience, ensuring that your team is involved in everything that you're doing, and then, of course, making sure that you're an excellent communicator and that you know onboarding doesn't stop after 30 days and it really becomes the life cycle of that member's experience with you. Last week, or 2 sessions ago, actually, we were able to talk about being able to drive members to your PT and your studio programs. I gave you a quick little acronym about attracting their attention, being able to build value, and then be able to crush that experience. I want you, as we discuss Raving Fans today, to be able to reflect back on some of the things that we discussed, but also think about how important it is to make sure that you have those pieces in order to really build your members into becoming Raving Fans. So, why don't we get things kicked off here and let's see what you got today. With turning your members into raving fans, it's very important that you understand that just because somebody has been with you for a long tenure, or maybe they come to your facility, multiple times a week, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're one of your raving fans. If I were able to put everybody from like a 1 to 10 scale, so like one, two, three, four are sort of people who maybe belong to your gym, but they don't really have any sort of connection to who you are. Then you have that sort of five, six, seven, which are those middle of the road people that if another gym ended up opening, right down the street from you, they might end up jumping ship. But then you have your eight, nines, and tens. Those are your raving fans. Those are the people who believe in who you are, believe in what you represent. They're tied into both the culture and the community that you deliver. That's our goal. But what's the difference between those 1 through 6 or 1 through 7s, excuse me, and those eight, nines, and tens? Well, that's what I'm going to try to attempt to do here is to be able to get your mindset into how do we turn those people into your raving fans. So let's talk about fans. Of course, there's all types of fans. And of course, I had to come up with some sort of goofy image to reference, but there's all sorts of fans that we can think of. And when I go through this series of the next slides, I want you to think of how the connections that we have to whether it's people or brands or products, what actually allows us to feel as though they're a part of us and who we are, because it's no different than what we're doing regardless of what your business is, whether it's a fitness business, whether it's that you're selling a product, whatever it is, we strive for loyalty. And that's the key definition for a raving fan is somebody who is loyal to you. That bigger, beautiful, sexier, newer club opens up, but your members decide to stick by you because it's not just about being shiny and being able to offer something new. They're there because they know that no matter where they go, you provide an unmatched experience. So let's think sports teams. Sports are a huge component for so many of our lives out there. I, for one, I consider myself to be a diehard Manchester United fan. When I think about sports teams, is you think as though they are almost an extension of who you are. A lot of what Manchester's history has been through my learning and spending time being able to read about it, but also the players and the way that they sort of run that club really makes me feel as though I belong. And there's so many other people, whether it's football in America, if it's hockey, it could be basketball, whatever sport. we feel as though we belong with our team, and we end up, it impacts us negatively if they lose, positively, of course, if they win. But once again, it connects us to who they are because of that brand and, of course, that badge of honor. Then we have athletes who we consider to be fans of. So I'm a Federer fan in this battle of Rafa versus Roger. But um, when you have someone like this that you feel as though that you can connect to, it could be about their game, but also their game off the court as well. Sometimes we even make the decisions on the brands that we end up wearing because of people like this, right? I mean, Roger used to be sponsored by Nike, and then he ended up moving over to Uniqlo. Or you think about Rafa, who he uses Babolat rackets, also was sponsored by Nike. We feel as though that those people have an influence, and that's the key word here. When we become raving fans, they influence the decisions that we make and the way that we go about the things that we do. Nothing that they do is any different from what we're trying to do and need to be able to get those 1 through 7s to 8, 9s, and 10s and ensure that they're raving fans with us. It could be products. This is my only Apple slide, so don't you worry. But whether it's the Apple Android battle, we already know who I end up choosing. We are selective with the products, right? I think of other ones like Pepsi versus Diet Coke. It could be Adidas and Nike. I mean, Verizon and Comcast. It doesn't matter what it is. We choose the things that we choose and are selective because they either provide a solution for us. We feel as though that who they are is part of our identity, but we also connect with it, what it is that they deliver. Hopefully those bells are starting to go off in your head because you're like, wow, this is no different from what we attempt to do at our gym or at our studio. And then there's music, whether it's a genre of music or the actual musicians, they allow us to sort of let our hair down and to let loose. It becomes something that's fun with us. Music, I believe, is probably one of the things that connects all of us in so many different ways because it's always fun and playful. And that's one of the points that I'm trying to get across to you is that you want your gym, you want your studio, your services, whatever it is, to have that sort of fun and playful vibe about it. So when you think what makes Green Day to be such a sensation, it's not just the music, but it's who they are as individuals, as that trio who've been around for what, 25 plus years. But not to mention how they've been able to really connect us and really deliver a theatrical experience, whether it's through their albums or, of course, in those live concerts. So all of those things that I had just mentioned, each one of those needed some sort of spark or catalyst in order, and I use my own personal references, right, for me to be able to relate and to connect with them. The hardest part though is I can relate or connect with a ton of people, right? You think about sometimes you meet somebody who might become a friend, but they don't become a best friend. Or you start to dabble down the line of maybe using a new product, or maybe there's a new athlete that you like. But there are particular ones that will always stick out to us. And what makes those things stick out to us so much is how they're able to keep that spark or that flame burn so brightly. And that's what I want to talk about today. So, what are some of these unique ideas that we can do within our gym, within our studio, with our teams, with our people, and of course, with so many of you at the helm to be able to make that all possible? One of the most important things, all right, and we're going to revisit that double platinum rule, which is if you want to be able to have greater amount of raving fans, you have to crush the double platinum rule, which is you need to meet and exceed expectations consistently. So with that consistent service, all right, is going to become greater trust. We know that our members, all right, or even our teams, that as soon as we fall short just a little bit, they're going to pounce on us. And it's our goal to ensure that we don't allow that to happen. So when you think about meeting and exceeding those expectations, remember, the key is consistency. And the solution or what comes after that is that your members and, of course, your team is going to trust you. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through a few slides that are going to actually sort of be those withdrawals that I had talked about a little bit. And then I'm going to fly through a series of ideas, and I want you to be prepared for those. So be ready. I want your attention. We're about to be, I don't know, I'm going to say I can crank this in about 30, 35 minutes. Somebody out there time me. First negative thing, all right? So your front desk is everything when it comes to Raving Fans. And I apologize if somebody works at this facility. I just tried to Google front desk and this was the one that I had chosen. But there's three things that I want to point out about this picture that I feel are so important and able for your staff to be able to connect with your members and sort of drop that first seed that you hope to be able to grow with them so that they feel a part of who you are. So first thing that I'm going to stick out is this gentleman doesn't have a name tag. I am big on name tags. As much as early on in my career I was annoyed about wearing one, our name tags become an identifier. I tell people that one of the favorite sounds that we all have is our first name. So when I can go in and be able to greet this person and feel as though that, something so simple as being able to know his name, that starts a relationship. Some of you out there may say, well, I end up running a small studio. There's only three or four of us, or, I'm the owner. Everybody knows me. I challenge you to look out there for some unique solutions that you'll actually really like, because the more that they use your name and the more that you use their name, it's going to build much stronger bond and relationship. Second piece of this slide that I want to point out is there's no sort of brand element or representation of who this person works for or what facility this is at. Being able to spend time on crafting your uniform, and I'm not saying you have to have everybody looking like baseball players out there, by no means, but being able to make sure that when people come in, they can identify with who that person is and know that they're a key part of your team and your operations, and that first cog in your ecosystem is very, very important. I tell everybody, our team plays for the name on the front, not the one on the back, which is I want at my facility everybody to focus on the Ford Athletic Club, not who they are as an individual. And third, and sure, this is just a candid Googled image that I got, but it's important that your front desk is always friendly and smiling. And sure, yes, he's wearing a mask, but we can tell underneath that mask that there isn't a smile there. The eyebrows aren't raised, the eyes aren't connected, the body language for him is just thrown off. If I feel as though that the first connection I'm going to have when I walk in that facility is that I'm looking at someone who doesn't feel excited to see me, that's going to be immediate withdrawal and moving that person from maybe that 4, 5, 6, 7, because at any point, you don't know what number that person is at. And we want to make sure that we can keep them at that 8, 9, and 10. Another huge challenge that we're faced in studios, gyms, boutiques, whatever you consider yourself to be, is the consistency in the way that we deliver the experience through our classes, our training, our programming. One of the probably top one or two feedbacks that I get is, well, there's certain instructors that always get busier, or everybody wants to train with me because they like the way that I coach. That's on you because you allowed there to be inconsistency. So you want to sort of regress to make progress in how you're delivering that experience. So first things first, you have to have your playbook. There needs to be some sort of playbook for how the sessions are going to be ran. What's the opening? What's the meat and potatoes? What's the close? How are you going to tie that into your social media to make sure that that experience goes from that studio outside of your four walls? Second, I highly, highly, highly encourage you to hold sessions with your community members where they provide immediate feedback after the class. Some of you might be nervous to be able to do that, and if you are, there's ways that you can set up a Google form and send them a survey and maybe give them like a $25 gift card if to one of the people who ends up filling it out. But that information is invaluable, and you definitely want to capture it right in the moment. Something that we're doing sort of during our pre-sale is we're inviting people in, about 15 to 20 people. And as soon as we get done our 50-minute or 55-minute training session, we're spending about 10 minutes to talk about certain elements of the class. How do they like the music? How do they feel about the cleanliness of the studio, the transitions? Do they feel as though the coach or the instructor was commanding the room? All those things are really important to us, but you have to invest the time to want to be able to learn that about your team. Third, you need to get in there and be a participant. I challenge each and every one of you. When was the last time you were in one of your fitness classes so that you could just be there to either be one with your community members and all those members of your clubs, but to also show the support for your team, whoever it is up on that podium? What that will do for your team morale and their respect for you, all right, is going to really elevate your game. I'm telling you, I used to do it all the time. I challenged myself at my last facility to try to take as many classes as I could in the first 30 to 60 days. I fell short, but I sure as hell did my damnedest to try. And last, but certainly not least, is ensure that when you're working with your team, you're working with your instructors, that they have a say also. Remember, they're the experts. They're the people who are going, day in and day out on that podium in front of the room, leading the personal training sessions. And regardless if they're a brand new person or a 20-year veteran, you want to be able to get that feedback and be able to provide for them recommendations for them to be able to elevate. All of those things, the more that you invest in your team, they will in turn invest in your members. And that's the point that I want to get across here. Next, I'm going to make a quick shift over to the importance of cleanliness. Do you know that 7 out of every 10 gym members will tell you that one of their most influential decisions in joining that facility was if they felt both clean and safe? And guess what? That was prior to the pandemic and the COVID challenges that we've been faced with. So when you make those decisions about where you've made your investments, about your clean standards and how your team is going to follow through, you better make sure that you do it. And you also don't have to scream it in the faces of all of your members, but they should see that in between classes, things are being wiped down, that you're also getting down and making sure that it's clean. Doesn't have to live at the front of your website like it first was when all of us were reacting to how this was going to really impact and affect our business. But ensure that what you say you're doing, that you're doing it and you're doing it extremely successfully. Next, and I have, I think, 2 more to go here. The other biggest withdrawal, probably the number one withdrawal that you could do, is communicate poorly with your team as well as your members. Nobody likes to feel as though they're out of the loop, especially when we want these people to identify, to connect, to feel a part of our community, to understand our culture. We have to do that through all of our means of communication. And we already discussed some of the importance of communication. Are you writing marathon emails, or are you able to turn that marathon email into a quick video that actually is going to get that point across? Are you following up with your classes or some sort of announcement with what you have in your stories or through your social media, right? That's probably one of the most important elements that I can give to you is, be consistent with how you're sending it. You should always have about a 30 or 60-day plan for your communications. Sure, you're going to stray from time to time, but once again, you have a plan and you have a strategy. And then the next important component is to ensure that both you and your team execute. Why I bring up communication so much is, let's be honest, we already watched the death of blogs go away and the importance of things like podcasts, as well as other sort of video messaging channels. You have to do the same. Connect with your consumer and meet them where they are. Wrong button. We're going to keep rocking and rolling here. The last element that I want to talk about, all right, is ensuring that you don't underpromise, all right, or excuse me, overpromise and underdeliver. I knew I was going to flip that. When we try to build up an expectation and then we're unable to fall through, people become disappointed. Do me a favor. I'm going to pause a second. I just want to ask this question. How many of you like to feel disappointed? Raise your hand. I didn't think so. Nobody likes to feel disappointed. Ensure that you're setting the standard with each of them through what they know of your brand and what they can expect when they come. We want to make sure that if anything, that we're going to underpromise and overdeliver. Think of that sort of golden rule, platinum rule, and that double platinum rule. That over delivery is that double platinum rule. And I'm going to say it one more time. That's the key to making that shift and that adjustment to becoming a raving fan. So as I've gone through these first few slides to really sort of lay the foundations and to give a little bit more of the educational component of today, because the rest is going to be a little bit of rapid fire. We've talked about some really key things. So one, communication is everything. One, how are you connecting them to your brand? Your brand meaning your club. How are they connecting to your staff, whether it's your trainers, your instructors, the coaches, whatever it might be, your clean team? What about your greater mission? Do you feel as though those members can identify with who you are? Are you just another gym? Are you just another boutique or studio? Or are you that fitness sanctuary for them that makes them feel connected? Three things that we focus on are one, all right, we're a group of families building a fitness facility and sanctuary for families within our community. Second, it's absolutely important that we go beyond just the sort of physical workout and bring in the importance of mental, and emotional wellness as well in all that we do. And third, we have that charitable component. We want to make sure that we're giving back to the community right here and to the places that are most important to each and every one of our members, as well as our team members. Whether you pause this right here and write down your favorite 2, 3, or 4 ideas about how you and your facility connect with your members, it's probably one of the most valuable exercises that you can go through. And if you don't want to do it right now, that's fine, but please make sure that you go back to these first few slides because I'm telling you, this is only going to help you, your team on that mission. All right, so this is the point. All right, I'm going to get my last sip of water. Let's fire through. Get out your pen and paper because now I'm going to give you a bunch of ideas for you to be able to make your members raving members. First, there's 2 times every single year that we really, really think about our health. One, our birthday. And guess what? What do people want on their birthday? They want to be made to feel special. All right. So how do we make people feel special? Give them something. I don't care if it's a smoothie. I don't care if it's a t-shirt. I don't care if it's a PT session, an in-body evaluation, a coffee cup. I don't care. It's their birthday. Make those people feel special. Your software tells you when it's the people's birthdays. Send them a message. Send them, just don't send them a happy birthday blank email. Make them feel special. It's their birthday. We all like to be made to feel special. The second part is, of course, is New Year's, where they're always thinking about it, but that's very standard. But focus on how you can make those people feel special on their birthday. Second, how many of you have had your barber, your favorite restaurant, maybe a hotel that you've gone to, where else, maybe a coffee shop, send you an anniversary note thanking you for coming in after a year of visits or 2 years of visits? Any of you? I know my barber hasn't sent me anything, but guess what? You could. That person's gym, that person's studio, that person's boutique. You could shoot them a message on their 1 year, 2 year, whatever anniversary date it is, and recognize them and thank them for their support of you and your business. Maybe that person's like a diehard exerciser and you can run the numbers and say, wow, Molly, happy anniversary. You've hit your 1 year mark. You've done 205 workouts with us. That's really going to stand out. But when you send that anniversary note, be sure that you personalize it. It shouldn't feel like any sort of other automation that we might end up sending out. So if there's something about that member that you can make it more specific to them, it's really going to sort of take it up a notch. Next, speaking of recognition, your members as well as your team members like to be recognized, and they deserve to be recognized. I know that we've actually been spotlighting an athlete every other week, and we've been having the local, they're maybe not even members, but local community members actually apply for their student athlete to be recognized. And I'll tell you, some of the greatest levels of engagement that we have through our social media are those posts. And it's spanned, I mean, probably, I don't know, 15, some schools might even be 20 miles away. And I'll tell you, the feedback and seeing how many shares end up happening, it automatically becomes a way for people to spread the word. If a team member has gone above and beyond for you and you want to recognize them as a team member of the month, or maybe there was a group of people who completed in a Spartan race over the weekend or the local triathlon, get that out in front of your members. People are connected to other like-minded people. And if you can open that door for them to really meet one another and see that they have like-minded values, once again, the other gyms and the other boutiques down the road aren't doing that. They're just thinking in, we're going to give workouts, they're going to come in, we're going to try to be clean, we're going to try to communicate well. That's not who you are. All of those things that I just mentioned, you can execute it and you can execute it very, very well. Next, ambassador programs. How many of you out there have ambassador programs at your club? All right, I'm sure there are a few of you. And if you don't take anything from what I discussed with you today, I want you to think about how you could implement an ambassador program. I take the shot from Lululemon because they've done an incredible job with their ambassador program, which is, they find fit pros in the community who become an extension of their retail shop, an extension of their online platform to represent who they are, right? You know that Lululemon symbol so that when people see that, it's an immediate connection and that they can see that they represent who we are. You can do the same exact thing. So one of the things that we're doing is we're finding members who are our raving fans, and we want them to be that extension of our business. So what we've done was we've supplied them with swag, we've supplied them with a little bit of sort of first access to some of the classes and programs that we're running. And then in return, they've committed to post on social media, engagement with our post, being able to hashtag, but also make sure that when they are in the club, that they're raving to the rest of the members about us. It becomes a give and take. We're not using them by any means because they really have become more of an inner circle with us. We meet quarterly with them, or we're going to be meeting quarterly with them, as that's what our plan is that we had written. But we want them to feel as though they're sort of our front line to be able to come to us. If you're wondering at your existing gym, how do you find those people? Maybe you end up letting everybody know you're starting an ambassador program. We'd love for you to be a part of it. Please apply. This is what it's going to entail. And if you have any questions and this is something that you really want to explore, shoot me the message. More than happy to have a conversation with you or find out other people who have done this really well. Lululemon's, there's kicks ass. All right, so now let's talk apparel, swag, and all sort of other accessories and items that you can think of. We've invested very much so in our apparel, whether our shirts, pants, whatever, you name it. Things like coffee mugs, koozies, whatever it is. We want people to be able to walk around with, our logo and feel as though that there's value and pride in it. I said it before when I referred to Manchester United as far as it being a badge of honor to be able to connect with them. We want people to feel that way for us. So when it comes to your swag or your apparel or the things that you offer, here's two quick tips for you. So one, you might be saying, well, I can't even get them to buy a $10 shirt. Why would I invest in more apparel or swag for them? A couple reasons. One, your $10 shirt probably looks like a $10 shirt. It probably feels like a $10 shirt, and your staff probably don't even want to wear that $10 shirt. So it's probably not the best investment for you. However, if you do actually find something that your staff is actually wrapped their heads around and that they're excited for, they're in turn going to end up getting your members to be bought in as well. I know I've worked for past organizations that, in all honesty, the trainers or the studio instructors might have been really good, but they never felt connected to who we were. It almost reminds me of they were coming in, auditioning, and leaving. We don't want audition coaches and audition instructors. We want people who are a part of our cast and a part of our team. I use Barry's in this image because one, their branding is beautiful. From the sort of chevron logo that they have, the way that the Barry chevron is tied to the fuel bar chevron, but you can see they're very up to date and modern, right? They know their target audience, young, sexy, fit. So what's your target audience? Another idea, and I actually took this from a friend of mine who used to run a gym out in California, but they would probably like every 3 months, every 4 months, they would find a select few of members and take them out to dinner. There's something special about sitting down and being able to have a meal with one another or to be able to have a drink and just get some feedback from them. But when you start to invite these members, and you might have 1,000 members and say, how do I pick them? Well, try to be selective. Maybe you go through some sort of like survey process or have people actually apply. Or maybe you reach out to the first few by being able to run some numbers. Maybe you look at some of the people who don't actively participate, then you get some of your people who are maybe middle of the road, and then you might have some of those people who are your diehards. Being able to bring all of them together, break some bread, have a meal, and have some conversations can really make for some of the best feedback that you could possibly get. But two things that are very important. One, always be careful if there's alcohol involved. And second, make sure that you let them know what the expectation is with that dinner. You don't want to feel as though you're inviting them to dinner and then you're actually hitting them with something that they didn't expect. Let them know what they're signing up for, what the expectation is, and of course, make them feel special and make sure that you give them something as a small token and gesture to say thank you. Charities, another great way to have raving fans. Many of your fitness facilities and many of who you are, there's a lot of incredible charities, all right, that we can give back to. It's proven through science that we feel better when we give as compared to taking. So why not think about how you can do that? Because if you can find something that's meaningful to both you, your team, and your members, it's amazing how such a little act can make such a big difference. And the more and more that we all have this mindset about, not going at it as an individual, but as a group, how we can help people, all right, and really dig deep into who we are and really sort of touch our soul, that's going to make those people ever think about trying to leave your facility and not being for you, not being there for you in the same way that you want to be there for them. So I had shared, but we have three charities, well, two right now, and we'll have a third, but we have two charities that are important to us, two of which we have chosen, and our third charity is going to be chosen at our end of the fall event, where all of our members and our team members will be able to choose from three people that are local community charities. We want them to know that they have a voice. And if there's anything that I guess you can take from my first session, my second session, the Q&A, as well as this, is that this isn't a unilateral decision. It's always about who you are as sort of the leader of the organization, how you're driving the mission and the purpose, how you're getting your team involved, as well as how you're getting your members involved. When you can sort of connect that entire circle, that's how you keep those raving fans and gain those raving fans. So let me talk to you a little bit about member appreciation. You know what's so great about member appreciation? Nothing. All right. I hate member appreciation. I think it's one of the silliest and stupidest ideas that we could possibly think of. Come on, let's be honest. How many of you have used member appreciation as a way to basically say, hey, bring a friend, and then you're just trying to sell that person? We don't need a specific week or few days or member appreciation month. I don't care what it is that you say you may or may not have. All right. Every day, those members should feel appreciated. All right. Come up with something different. It's probably one of the oldest things. It's such a 90s thing to do. So please, 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 if you're still trying to do some sort of member appreciation day, week, month, whatever, don't. Come up with unique ideas. I've already given you like 6 or 7, and I still got about 10 to go. I'm a big advocate of the thank you note. I truly believe that the snail mail, all right, is going to make a comeback. If I think about my own habits when I go get the mail, I literally will grab my mail, come back to my house, and it's junk, 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 keep, bill, junk, junk, keep. But when I'm going through that, and I'm always looking at who it's coming from, but if I see something from my gym that actually really sticks out and that I open it, all right, we're all spending a lot more time at our house these days, and there's a little bit of that element of the surprise and delight. But if I go to open that sort of letter and I see that it's a handwritten note from my favorite coach or my favorite instructor or the general manager or owner of that facility, just reaching out to say thank you and at a random time, that's really going to touch me because as I shared, I'm not getting those anniversary messages from people. So if I'm just getting a thank you for my participation as well as, my involvement within that community at my gym or at my studio, it takes it beyond just the four walls of the facility. So with this idea of raving fans, okay, and in all honesty, this kind of is hitting me in the middle of shooting this right now, but you know that you're doing well at building and gaining raving fans at how far you can extend your four walls, how you can make an impact through your social media, how you can make an impact through your website, how you can make an impact so that your members are talking to other members, how your team is bragging to their friends about the incredible place that they work at. And that naturally is going to bring other people. People are attracted to people who are like minded, but also are wanting to do more than just be a part of a club. If there's one thing that I can tell you right now, that if you don't start to implement these elements now and in probably the next sort of 6 months to 1 year, I think you're going to be faced with an uphill battle. And we've already just faced one of the biggest battles that we could possibly endure. All right, a few more ideas for you. Let me get a quick sip. So, in speaking about getting outside of those four walls, is we just spent a ton of time virtually. And there was a lot that we had to learn. You know, we were trying to do online classes, we were trying to do Zooms, IG Lives, Facebook Lives, whatever it was. So, what did we learn that is great about technology? Is technology can allow us to connect outside of the club. So here, I got this as a matter of fact because my brother signed up for a cooking class with somebody in Italy to, as a Mother's Day present for my mom. Sounds really silly, but here they were able to actually experience something that they would never have been able to do before, excuse me. So here, this woman was in Rome teaching this cooking class, and my mom and my brother were in their home here in South Jersey. That's impactful. You're going to go talk and tell people about that. And it's not just about cooking classes that you can do, although I'll tell you, our members would love to be able to cook with, somebody on your team or somebody that's one of your members who might be a chef. But, it could be you're hosting a virtual watch party because, next week is the first American football game, or Ronaldo, all right, is going to be playing for Manchester United on September 11th. Not that I'm counting down, but that's just an example that you can use. My last clubs, two of the coaches would hold trivia nights, and they would have, 30, 40 people consistently week over week over week. Be more than a gym, all right? Be a community, be a sanctuary. All right, my second dodgeball reference in 4 weeks, but you have to have fun. My opening, I talked about how important it is fun by being able to show the musicians, showing the athletes, the sports teams, the products. But what are you doing to create fun at your facility? Maybe you don't identify with fun, but trust me, everyone does. One of our favorite things that we all enjoy doing is smiling. Whether you decide to have a dodgeball tournament, all right, and you have everybody dress up, or perhaps you want something less violent and you get a bunch of people together to start training for a Spartan race or a mud run or a color run, or maybe it doesn't have to just be fitness related. There are a ton of ideas that you can think about. Um, you know, think of the events that are happening in your area, all right? And don't worry about, well, oh, we did something and, we didn't get as much participation, or, we have 300 members and only 20 people are involved. You have to start somewhere, and you're always going to end up learning from whatever that first experience is. I can probably say that you were better at the ideas than you were the execution. And prior and after you have the idea, you need to spend more time on the plan and the strategy, and then you're going to be able to execute well. And once again, make sure your team is involved and get your members involved. All right, last couple. One thing that every person that belongs to a gym, I think everyone does, but the gym and food go together. One of the ideas that I'm going to be doing at the end of this fall is we're having a food truck festival. That's right, a food truck festival. Because after I go kick everybody's butts in our Earn Your Stripes studio, we're going to be able to go outside in our huge parking lot and be able to have a food truck festival. How are we coming up with the ideas for that food truck festival is we already have the members that have already signed up, excuse me, during our pre-sale, as well as our team members, sort of, put the food trucks into a hat for us to be able to have them come out. It's just fun. This is that unique way you can get people outside. You can have a meatball truck, a cupcake truck, a cheesesteak egg roll, whatever it is. There's so many different food trucks out there. And honestly, I think still a lot of people haven't experienced it. It's just being able to try to think in a different way to make people smile and enjoy themselves. So I'm going to pause. I just fired off, I think it was 21 slides where I tried to give you different ideas. I laid the foundation by setting the precedent of the importance of what it means to build a fan base, how you're going to move them from whatever number they are in that sort of 1 to 7 scheme so that become 8, 9s, and 10s. 8, 9s, and 10s, I want you to think of as your raving fans. Raving fans are going to feel tied to your greater purpose. They're going to stand within your mission, and they're going to feel as though they want to work for you, even though they're your paying member. So at this point, think about some of what I had shared. Maybe it's about the apparel and the swag, or maybe it's about how you can use handwritten notes or the whole anniversary idea, or you like the idea of having some sort of virtual cooking or trivia night. Those are all things, all right, that become deposits into your bank with your members. We're always striving for retention, all right, and referrals. What we do should automatically drive the referrals. The retention is the part that we have to work on. And that's by making those people consistently feel special. So as I conclude and I wrap this up, and I think I hit the time that I said I was going to do, but nothing I've honestly shared with you, I think this week or even in the past weeks is truly earth-shattering. But what I do think I've been able to do is to be able to craft something that you can connect and that you can relate with. One of my goals throughout this entire process and during this fitness business bootcamp is for you to be able to feel as though that you can connect with me through this screen. You're now starting to see who I'm about. You're now starting to understand the message that I'm delivering to you. Much of what I'm sharing with you are both inside and outside of the box ideas. But the only limiting factor in anything that we do is our imagination. So I want you to pause and really say, what can I really be doing for my business? Or what's pulling me away from being able to do a lot of this stuff that Matt has shared? And much of what it is, and I know that you can admit this, which is you're just either going in cruise control or you're just trying to drive and make sure that everything stays right. It's okay to pause and remove yourself from your business, okay? Maybe you haven't revisited your plan in the past 6 months or the past year. Maybe there needs to be some more forward thinking, or perhaps you're out there and you feel like you're on an island. I promise you, you're not on an island. Every single one of us who is this part of this group is more than happy to help you, and please feel free to reach out to me. But I want you to leave today's conversation, all right, and really think to yourself, wow, these are some really easy, unique, fun, and playful ideas that I can do right away. And I want you to be able to reach back out to me once you execute those. And I want you to say, 1, thank you. And 2, I want you to say, man, that was badass. I'm so happy that you ended up pushing me to be able to do those things. So once again, this is the end of week 4. We have 2 more weeks to go, but thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule. I know that you're all out there really crushing it within your business. And as always, if there's anything and everything that I can do, please make sure that you reach out. Thank you, and I'll see you in a week.